Head over to miniaturemarket.com where they have thousands of board games at discounted prices, and you can sign up for product alerts. Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here. It's the end of the year, so it's time to do all my best games of the year. In today's video, we're going to be looking at the top 5 card games that came out in 2021. Here we go.
Number 5.
The first one here is a card game from Renegade Game Studios called Sebastral. Let me give you a 1-minute overview how this works. Sebastral is a beautiful strategic card game for 2 to 5 players where you're trying to build the best journal. You're going to be scoring by collecting sets into that journal. For example, mixed sets are going to be an unbroken sequence of your journal of unique different types of biomes. And these biomes are beautiful cards like the Temperate Forest, Tropical Rainforest, Chaparral, or Arctic Tundra. And hopefully you'll be scoring multiples of these depending on how you've built your journal. But you'll also be scoring by having your 2 largest matched sets of the same biomes as well. In terms of simple, you're simply playing a card under a cloud and then taking all the cards under a different cloud. Sometimes adding those cards that you take to your hand, other times adding them to your journal depending on where that cloud is in reference to the ones that you actually played to. So the turn structure and mechanisms of this game are very simple, but the depth and the strategic elements of this are extremely deep. Yeah, this one is very clever. Not only does it have absolutely beautiful artwork, as you can see, the way that it scores is really what makes this game very different because, you're trying to get things far, but you're also trying to get things wide and down, and there's just the different ways that this scores and the way that they're kind of at odds with each other, but at the same time you're trying to put them together, makes this for a very interesting game. It does take about 1 full play to play the whole game, but you go, oh, okay, because the scoring is a little bit of a twist, but the game's short enough that you could play once and go, oh, okay, probably play it 2 or 3 other times, even still in an hour, because the game's pretty quick. Also, I like the sort of, the way you take the cards. If you go in one direction, you can play cards. You go in the other direction, you can pick up cards. It's just a very different, fresh take on card game. And essentially, you're building a tableau, but you are playing a card and drawing cards, and then possibly putting cards in your own tableau. So it's a very clever little game, Sebastral.
Number 4.
This next one is called Faux Diamonds from designer Mike Fitzgerald. He's the one that designed the original game Diamonds, which was a trick-taking game. And this is a trick-taking game as well. This is a follow-up to it. It is a standalone game that just came out at the end of the year. It was on Kickstarter earlier this year from Eagle Griffin Games. In this game, it's a trick-taking game. You're playing tricks. You're following suits if you can. But there's different markets. Each suit has a different market, and each game that suit has a different market from before. There's many different ones to choose from, so there's a lot of replayability. But when you play a suit, if you can't follow and you play something else, you get to sell that diamond for where that fluctuating market is. Or if you win the trick by playing the most the highest of that suit, you also get to sell it. But there's also some faux diamond cards which basically allow you to undercut who thought they were going to win. Like, let's say you play something really high in pink, you're gonna get a really good sale. Someone else can throw one of those little faux diamonds and undercut you and sell it for what you thought you were gonna sell it for. The market fluctuates, sometimes bringing it back down. So it's a lot of a little bit longer term planning, looking at how the fluctuating market's gonna work, using the right time to play those faux diamond cards where there's not a whole lot of those in the deck. But other than that, pretty standard trick-taking game with a fluctuating market. Good one here, faux diamonds.
Number 3.
The next one here is called Lawyer Up. I actually did a preview of this when it was on Kickstarter maybe last year. And this is a 2-player game where one of you is going to play the prosecution, one of you is going to play the defense attorney, and you have a deck of cards that's really cool because at the beginning of the game you have sort of this aspect of looking at evidence where you're drafting cards and you're putting one in your opponent's pile, one in your pile, and one is buried evidence. But there are cards throughout the game that allow you to go into the buried evidence pile and grab those, possibly if you play them at the right times. It's really interesting. Even from the beginning, you're gathering evidence, and then you're bringing different jurors up. That some of them are better for the defense, some of them are better for the prosecution. And then once that person's up there, you're playing cards that have good artwork and good sort of flavor text. You're trying to solve a crime, or get your person on or off depending on whether you're the prosecution or the defense. But you're lining up different icons, and when you play them, the next card you play has to have at least one icon of another card. A lot of this has some great card play, similar to like, say, 1960 Making of the President or Twilight Struggle, where you look at your hand at the beginning of the round and you go, oh, this one should be played after this one. This one says, oh, this one's, oh, this is my last card played this round. This, oh, if the other opponent has this. And there's a lot of strategy for how simple the game is. And also there's multiple cases. Each of the cases are very replayable because you're just, it's a card game. You can play it over and over, but the game did come with, I believe, 2 cases in the base game, and I think there's 2 or 3 others that you can get outside of it. It's a really cool theme, an interesting take on 2-player card-driven games. If you like those ones that I mentioned, this is definitely one to check out. It's a fun one. Lawyer up.
Number 2.
This next one is called Shamans. This is a social deduction trick-taking game. Mind-blowing. What? How do you even put those two together? Let me show you how this works in 1 minute. Shamans is a trick-taking game mixed with hidden identity. You might be good or bad, but you're going to be playing cards, trying to get 8 points after multiple rounds to be the winner. You'll be playing tricks as normal, but you don't have to follow suit, and if you don't, it's going to move this token towards the moon. If it ever gets there, all the bad players win the round immediately and get 3 points. The lowest card thrown by the lead suit, that player gets one of these tokens with special abilities, or even a hidden one, like moving this one way or another whenever they want, or even revealing their role to everyone to show them who they really are. And when the last card of a suit's played, you get to activate that suit's ability, which is sometimes done by following suit, but other times can be played off suit to finish it off. If you're a bad guy, that's a great move. And you can use that ability to use one of your stab tokens to eliminate a player, revealing their role. You gotta be careful because every card that player still holds if they were good moves this one spot, and again, if it gets to the moon, the bad guys won the round. But if you've killed the last shadow player, then all the good players will win and get 2 points. Be the first to get 8 points and you win the game. Yeah, as you can see, this is a very different take on card play, where you're taking the social deduction aspect and matching it with trick taking. And when you're not following suit, it's causing things to escalate and possibly triggering an ability. Sometimes you're getting some tokens with abilities. The really cool thing about this is that each round of play, the loyalty cards get redealt. So you could be the shadow or the bad person one round and then be the good person the next round. I also like that, like, sometimes you might even want to kill another good player, because if they are in the round at the end, they're gonna win. And like, you might have less points than them, and since everyone on the good team that's still alive scores at the end, sometimes you might even betray someone on your own team towards the end of the game, which is really cool. But it's such a fresh take on card play of putting a trick-taking game with social deduction. You've gotta kinda like both of these to like the game, but if you like social deduction and you like trick-taking games, chances are you're gonna really love this game, and that's Shamans.
Number 1.
All right, here it is, card game of the year. This is Enchanted Plumes, and it's from Calliope Games. Let me give you a 1-minute overview of how this is played. Enchanted Plumes is a card game for 2 to 5 players. You're going to be building tableaus of different peacocks with beautiful plumes and trying to score the most points. So you'll be building peacocks with these cards, starting with the top row and working your way down, hopefully all the way to the bottom where you complete that peacock. Because at the end of the game, you're going to count up all the positive points except for the top row, which are actually negative, which is why you want low points here. But if you finished it, you also get a bonus 1 point for every card, so you're really trying to complete your peacocks. And you'll be making plenty of them over the course of the game. And after playing 1 or 2 cards, you're going to be drawing and or swapping from your hand with the tab below, which brings in lots of player interaction. Whoever's done the best job building the highest scoring peacocks at the end is going to be the winner. Yeah, as you can see, it's a beautiful game. It's thematic and looking with all these crazy peacocks, and they just look beautiful on the table, especially when they're finished. And it has such an interesting aspect of laying low cards on the top row, but you want the higher points down below it. It's a reverse pyramid. Once you go down, you can't play cards up. You've got to use the same colors, at least one color from before. So if you get sort of stuck and you have to play multiples of the same color, it really limits which colors you can play a little bit further down. You got a little bit of press your luck where you're trying to make a really big peacock, but not too big because those are really hard to score. You're trying to hold cards from other players. You're trying to use the tableau of where you draw the cards, where you're swapping cards as possible temporary storage. This game has a lot in common with a classic, amazing, best 2-player game card game ever, Lost Cities. has a lot of, it's very different from that, but some of the feelings that you get from that in this two-player game, hoarding the cards that your other player wants, excruciating discarding decisions as to when you don't want to play a card that discard because you know that's the color they're working for, but your hand's full and you kind of need everything. It's so good. It's such a simple game, but it has so many good things to think about. You can go watch my full review of this where I show you all the details and I dive even deeper into why this game's amazing. But if you like classic two-player card games like Lost Cities and you like tableau building, oof, this is it. This one really took me from surprise. This is a fantastic card game, Enchanted Plumes. All right, well, there were my 5 best card games of the year. Now, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, go ahead and do that because for the rest of this week, I'm coming out with a different video every day of the best games of different categories. Then next week, I'm gonna do the total best games of all categories, just the single best. Then I'm gonna do my top 10 of the year. So stay tuned. This has been the Game Boy Geek, breaking down barriers, growing relationships through board games by helping you find the next one you'll love. Game Toppers not only transforms your existing table to a high-quality gaming solution, they now offer full leg kits and dining cover solutions for the full table application. Paired with their amazing, thematic, premium stitch edge mats from noted board game artists like Vincent Dutray, collapsible cup holders, and really cool accessories, it's a complete system that upgrades every game you play. Go to GameToppersLLC.com or click the link below.